Hey guys, Desolate Magic here. Yay, more spoilers. Are you excited? Too bad, I'm gonna make a video about him anyway. So first up we got Beam Splitter Mage. I thought, oh good, 2/2 is it wizard, it does something with spell cloning. Awesome, that's just gonna be fantastic. But then I read it and this is not how Is It works at all. So this is more like an Eldritch Moon deck. So whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Beam Splitter Mage, if you control one or more other creatures that spell could target, choose one of those creatures, copy that spell, the copy targets the chosen creature. So instead of hitting everyone like that mirror wing, whatever, dragon sphinx thing, whatever it was a mythic a couple sets back, this one only splits the spell once. So I don't know. I mean, if you're going to do Creature Rush with Ambush Boost, you're probably going to do it with better stuff than a 2/2 for 2. Is It decks are going to run counter spells and direct damage, so nothing is going to target this guy. So completely dead on arrival, but very good in a different strategy. Very, very good. So we'll see if it turns into anything. Next up, Bounty of Might. It's a 6-cost instant without Convoke, and there had to have been a better way to phrase that. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn, and then they hit copy and then paste 2 more times. You know, they could have just said up to 3 target creatures get +3/+3 until end of turn. I really don't have an explanation for why they didn't do that. I mean, this way you have to have 3 targets. If you only have 2 targets, you literally cannot cast a spell because you can't target it, but they also could have just phrased it that way. Well, on top of it, this card's kind of garbage. It's cost too much for what it does. Doesn't protect them. It's crap. So next up, we've got Camaraderie. Oh boy, a 6-cost sorcery in Convoke colors that doesn't have Convoke. I don't know if they knew this or not, but the whole point of Convoke is to dump out super cheap creatures with not a lot of lands in your deck and do it really early, and then use that to pay for the Convoke spells. There's really no way to get to 6 mana in a Convoke deck without using Convoke. You'd really have to be running like non-Convoke Creature Flood, which, you know, up until the cycle out was a thing, and have a huge volume of it be mana dorks, just mana generating creatures. But we're losing like Channeler, losing everything. I mean, we're gonna have what, Llanowar? So I don't think that's a viable strategy. Now that said, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of creatures you control, then they all get +1/+1 till end of turn? What? So this is powerful, it just doesn't work with Convoke at all, in any way. So once again, just like the last one, we'll see if it goes anywhere, who knows. Next up, Chamber Sentry. It enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. Hey, remember when I said they're doing this? What was this called? Sunburst or Prism or some dumb thing and nobody played it? I said they're bringing it back because they said they're bringing it back. They said it's going to be the more colors, the better, and the guilds working with each other is going to be one of the mechanics. This card escaped from the next set. The next one. Guaranteed. We're going to see this, how many colors did you spend on it crap all over the next set, or maybe the third one. We'll see. But what they said, it seems to be coming true with this card. So you pay X, tap it, remove X 1/1 counters from it. It deals X damage to any target. Oh my god, Walking Ballista is back. Just kill me now. They just couldn't let it die, could they? They didn't realize how much people hated it and they had to bring it back. So anyway, you pay 1 of each color and return them from your graveyard to your hand. That's never going to happen. Nobody's going to play this, and there's no way to put counters on it. Self-contained, I should say. You could put counters on it with a different effect, but can't just pay 4 and put a counter on it. And you're probably not going to have 5 colors anyway. And people going for the 5-gate deck are 3 months early, trust me. So pretty dead on arrival in my opinion. I mean, you could just be playing 2 colors and actually get some mileage out of this. I mean, I'm not saying you can't, but you know, to really blast somebody with this and have it really be good, this ain't gonna do it quite yet. You gotta wait for the rest of the sets. So next up we got Dawn of Hope. Now this card is crazy. So it's a 2-drop rare enchantment in white. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 2 of any color. If you do, draw a card. What? And then you can pay 4 and create a soldier with lifelink, because of course you can. I mean, with Crested going out, Aerial Responder going out, we got that stupid 1/1 flying bird for 1 with lifelink. That's cool. Not quite Aerial Responder, but it's not quite not Aerial Responder. And then this, you know, generates lifelink tokens, so it's very similar to other cards that we're losing. We've still got that Legion card that brings out a thing and then flips, so Resplendent Angel is still a thing, and a Johnny's Pridemate is still a thing. That's 2 out of 3. We're losing Crested Sunmare, which is a shame. But I believe we still got the good Ajani. So I think White Life Gain is there. And since I already built it, I think that's the first deck I'm building. I'm just going to get 4 copies of this and just piss people off. Mono white, Banalish Marshal, get out that white boosty angel thing, and let's go. Next up, Drowned Secrets. This is a treat for everybody. It's a 2-cost rare. In blue, whenever you cast a blue spell, target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into the graveyard. Oh boy, a mill card, except, I think we all know it's gonna be self-mill, obviously, but it's still a mill card, so I'm still gonna hate it. In blue-black, you're only gonna activate this 50% of the time, and I do believe it's mandatory. It doesn't say may. You can target them, so it's kind of, optional. And if somebody has something good on the top of the library, there it goes. That's kind of cool. But other than that, yeah, I think this will feed your graveyard pretty damn good. I think people actually play this for Dimir Golgari Self-Mill Resurrection / Surveil Undergrowth. So next up, we've got Electrostatic Field. Is that a brain? That's kind of freaky. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to see what it is. Might just be a shadow or a skull or something. Well, anyway, 2-cost Defender. This card makes me want to throw up right here. Okay, you ready for this? 0/4 Defender, so combat is over. Combat is done, they can't hit you, might as well not even swing. So let's just get that out of the way. Also, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, not even color locked because, why? Electrostatic Field deals 1 damage to each opponent. This card is better than Guttersnipe, and that pisses me off. Between this, cost reduction, opt, counterspells, removal, and cantrips, is going to be unbeatable. This card puts it so far over the top. Between this and Guttersnipe, they can sit there and turtle and kill you. Absolutely ridiculous, and I can't wait for them to ban this. Next up, Experimental Frenzy. This one, if you're brave enough to put this in your Izzet deck, it's kind of Midnight Oil. That's what I'm going to say about it. It's basically the new red Midnight Oil. And nobody played that. So it's a red enchantment, costs 4. So, okay, and you'd want it late game. You really wouldn't want this early game. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. So that's cool. Don't have to show it to anybody. Just you may look at it. You may play the top card of your library. So if it's appropriate to play it at that speed, like you can't play a sorcery off turn, then you can play it. It's virtually a card in your hand. Also, it says play not cast, so you could play a land. And then you can't play cards from your hand, which who cares if it's empty? So this is kind of Bomat Courier, kind of, like in effect. Instead of refilling your hand, you just ignore the fact that your hand is empty and do this instead. So just whatever you draw, oh well, dead card, screw you. And then, eventually you're going to get to 7 because you'll be drawing dead the whole game if you last that long. And then you'll be tossing stuff in your graveyard, which will actually help Izzet for the graveyard count. So there's a little bit of a tail end there to it. And by the way, you can pay 4 and destroy it too, if you absolutely wanted to. So you basically slowly refill your hand 1 card at a time. Keep this going if you really wanted to, because you could cast a spell. Okay, look at the next one. Cast that. Look at the next one. Cast that. Anybody see why this might be a problem? That's why I called it Midnight Oil, except it's better. Midnight Oil just made you draw 2 and then shrunk your hand size by 2 every turn until it was 0. This is virtually the same card, except they care about how many spells you cast per turn, so it's way worse. So yeah, this is gonna really be something. And if you had 4 mana, maybe 5, you could virtually guarantee that every single turn you would have a land drop. It's, you don't get to play anything from your hand, but if you can cast enough spells to reliably get to a land every turn, you should be good. And that doesn't even count Search for Azcanta, any kind of other scry, any filtering, any of that. So just 1 more broken pile of crap to drop into Izzet. Awesome. Next up, Flight of Equinauts, which I believe is a knot that rides an equine creature, aka a horse. I know you came here for the Latin lesson. So this is why people don't like Convoke, okay? It's a 4/5 flyer for 8. So, okay, it's a 4/5 flyer. Let's just stop at that. Okay, that's cool. Vanilla 4/5 flyer, you probably pay 5 for it. It's a human knight. Okay, you might get a little something out of that, by the way. Good tribal mix there. But normally you'd just be like, yeah, it's a 4/5 flyer for 5. Okay, well, they made it cost 8, and then you have to convoke your way back to 5, basically. So it's so overcosted that it's like a normal vanilla blah nothing special card, except you have to tap 3 of your creatures to bring it out. The only benefit is you could literally cast this for 1 if you have 7 creatures in play, which would be crazy. A 4/5 flyer for 1, are you kidding me? But like I said, Convoke is dead on arrival because of the number of sweepers and board wipes. I just don't think it's a viable strategy, but it would be pretty fast. So I don't know, if you go first and you're playing Convoke and you can just dump a bunch of 1 costs and just go and you've got a Convoke spell in your hand, I don't know, that's a lot of things that have to go right, and they have to have virtually no removal, but it could work. I just don't think it'll be competitive. But the fact that this is a dead card if they've wiped the board because you're never going to have 8 mana in a Convoke deck, I don't like it. So next up we got Flower or Flourish. Oh boy. So you can pay Hybrid Mana 1, Sorcerer Speed, by the way. Search your library for a basic Forest or Plains card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So doesn't even hit the battlefield. I mean, people are going to call this in tune with Aether, but I mean, energy was the problem, not really the color fixing. It was also the color fixing, but still. Then on the other side, we got Flourish. If you pay 6 creatures you control, get +2/+2 till end of turn. So it would be hard to do Flourish if you didn't do Flower, unless you naturally pulled enough. But this is another one where the hell are you going to get 6 mana from in a Convoke deck? I'm starting to think there's a secondary deck on these colors where it's just a traditional ramp deck. It's just ramp and flood, and you basically don't even use Convoke. Or it could be, you know, natural ramp, land fetch ramp, you know, Llanowar Elves, that kind of stuff. With Convoke, because, I mean, okay, you'll have more mana available than normal, and also you'll be flooding creatures, so why not? It won't just be all-in flood, all-in Convoke. And then you would be able to reasonably cast a 6-cost spell like this. Because remember, there's a couple of them now. So overall, I mean, it's a pretty blah card, but it would go in the right deck, I guess. I don't know. It's one of those ones where we'll just wait and see if it slots into something, but it's not that exciting. What is exciting is Generous Stray, because it's a cat, and cats are awesome. So this is a 1/2 for 3, and when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Boy, I wish this cost 2. It would almost be a little OP at 2. Because, I mean, remember, like, Filigree Familiar, you had to wait for it to die to get the card, which is how a lot of these work. But it's offset by the fact that, oh, look at that, he's offering up a little lizard to you. He's so cute. He doesn't even want to eat it, even though he's a stray. He's giving it to you because he wants to share because you're friends. Oh my god, I'm puking rainbows right now. So, I mean, this is just classic Convoke right here. It's such a garbage card, but it's basically a land. Your piddly little crap creatures that you throw out for Convoke, they're basically lands. This one doesn't even play around Shock, though. I mean, it's so bad, but then again, the card draw, you gotta get to those Convoke cards, so it's pretty important. So it's one of those take it or leave it. We'll see if it slots into something, which is kind of the theme today, I guess. Next up, Inspiring Unicorn, looking ridiculously majestic. It's basically a shampoo commercial. So this is a 2/2 for 4 with double white, so ooh, you know it's going to be good at that point, because that's not. Whenever it attacks, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. There have been creatures that do this before, and they have been extremely popular. That's all I'm going to say. It speaks for itself. It makes all your stuff bigger. That works good with Mentor because, you know, it makes everything bigger at the same time simultaneously. So now you're capable of swinging with your crappy little 4/2, which is now a 5/3. Maybe it'll survive. And then, oh, cool, Mentor. So other than that, it works perfect with Lifelinkers. So it's definitely going in my deck, obviously. But it is an absolute lightning rod, and it's a lightning rod that has 2 toughness. So, you know, watch out for that. But that doesn't mean don't play it. It's still a fantastic card. And mono white would be wonderful with it. So, yeah, I love it. Next up, Might of the Masses. You pay 1, it's instant, and target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature you control, or as I like to call it, Appeal. They did it. The absolute madmen did it. I said one of the #1 cards that we'd be losing that would be just terrible and would have worked perfectly with Convoke is Appeal. Well, here we go, Might of the Masses. I mean, Appeal to Authority was the card, and Authority was no freaking joke. 2 of their creatures can't block for 2 mana, and everything on your side gets Vigilance. That's crazy. So this is not Appeal to Authority. Oh, and also Appeal Granted Trample. So this is really, really, really not Appeal. But then again, you put this on a Lifelink or a Natural Trampler, and you're good. You're gone. I mean, you put it on a flyer, goodbye. So yeah, they watered it down, but you're probably going to +10 something, so I don't really care. It's some version of Appeal is back. I'm happy. Too bad Convoke is unplayable. Next up, we've got Mnemonic Betrayal. Ooh, it's a big, scary mythic. Forgot what they were called there for a second. So what's Dimir up to this time with the big old freaky skull? Exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards. Ooh, you got my attention already. I like that. Although, I mean, you're playing Dimir, so okay. You may cast those cards this turn, and you may spend mana as though it were any color, or mana of any color, or any, whatever, type. I should just read the card. To cast those spells. Cool. If any of those cards remain exiled, return them to their owners' graveyards. Really? Wow, that isn't normally how that works. And then exile Mnemonic Betrayal. This basically is a throwback to like every card that has ever had the word mnemonic in it, by the way. So I love they're keeping with the theme. Oh, this is crazy. I mean, there's no point in cloning it. So, okay. It's exiled. You can't really bring it back from exile as far as I know. So, okay. That's why putting the cards back is, you know, that's just for Izzet, right? Like, we're all on the same page here that they did that for Izzet because Izzet needs a bunch of instants and sorceries in the graveyard. And after you just cast this and then nuked them with a pile of their own spells, they get them back so that they're not completely shut down. And honestly, Golgari as well. Oh, and plus, you're playing Dimir. You kind of need your graveyard back. So this is like super not a Torrential Gearhulk because it's not, you know, flash instant speed. You don't also get a creature and you don't get to cast it for free. So anybody saying that, they clearly did not know how Torrential Gearhulk worked. And my other issue with this is like, who's gonna ramp blue or black? I don't think there's one single ramp card in there unless you count scrying and drawing cards as ramp. So I mean, you're really gonna be able to generate like 10 mana? I mean, Cabal Stronghold is as close as you're gonna get, and that is mono black. Like, that does not fit into 2-color decks. There might be some colorless stuff you can do, just bare minimum mana ramp, but I don't think you're gonna have like 10 mana available to cast this for 3 and then spend the other 7 immediately on you know, their spells this turn. Now the one thing is, like, if they had a really killer 3/3 creature and you've got 6 mana total, there you go. You can go get that thing that you just killed. But the problem is you had to kill it first. It had to go to the graveyard, unless they self-milled. So there's a ton of conditions with this. Very, very conditional situational card. That's why, like, I'd almost say I don't think it's that good because it costs 3. But, like, what are they going to do? Make it cost 1? That would be outrageous. You could get your own best creature back. You could, well, you can't do anything with their counter spells. You could use like a lightning strike, I guess. But you got to pay for all of it. You know how much I love free casting. It'd be so broken if you didn't have to pay for it. So I'm on the fence about this. I know it could do some neat stuff. It's just it's so limited and restricted. And you'll empty all the mana you have available that whole turn, 5, 6, 7 total mana, to probably in all likelihood do 1 big thing or 2 really weak things. And that could be enough, and you've got a lot of targets for it theoretically, but like it does absolutely nothing early game, so I don't know. There's so much good and so much bad with this card. There's probably something that they're targeting very specifically, where if you could bring it back and do it again, it's like, whoa. So if that's the case, I say it'll be the tiebreaker, because this is so flexible, so wide open, but it's very dependent on the board state, so it might do nothing, it might do something, and players do not like unreliable cards, so I don't know. And outside of standard, oh my god, I'm not even going to touch that. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. But overall, flavor-wise, I like the whole, well, you hit me with it first, now I'm just hitting you back with your own damn spell. I love that. That's that kind of karma crap, karma cards, I love them. So next up we got Pelt Collector, which I thought said Pet Collector, but it doesn't. It's a 1/1 for 1 elf warrior, so it might be a little something there. We got a lot of warriors, a lot of elves, but a lot of it's white, so I don't know, we'll see. That honestly could be something. And whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, if that creature's power is greater than Pelt Collector's, put a 1/1 counter on Pelt Collector. So, I mean, yeah, a little unreliable, slow buildup that almost, like, relies on you losing the game, but then again, you could be dropping in stuff just as easily. So it's kind of both. Whether you're winning or losing the game, he gets bigger, theoretically. And he's a 1/1. I mean, you got to get a couple counters on him. Come on. And then, as long as he has 3 or more counters on him, it is Trample. So 4/4. I mean, hey, 4/4 Trampler for 1 mana. Or their other option is they burn a removal spell on a 1 mana card that you dropped on turn 1. Problem is he shows up late game, and I mean, yeah, his stuff could start dying and he'll get bigger to compensate, but he's not nearly as good, so he better be in your opening hand. But damn, I mean, I'd drop him in for Convoke. I mean, because of course bigger stuff's going to come in, and then one of your little dumpy 1/1 for 1 creatures is going to get bigger and maybe do something late game. So yeah, I like it. I mean, you can get him up real high. And remember, there's other ways to drop counters on him, so I mean, that's the thing too. So I think this is actually pretty darn good. Next up, Plague Crafter. I gotta read the flavor text, because is he gonna, like, Black Plague the entire city of Ravnica? This, like, might be important. So, my power is generosity in a way. I give my survivors an appreciation for their lives. Oh, that's some old Skyrim philosophy crap. So, yeah. Or Saw, if you want a bigger pop culture reference. It was the Payright guy, the Daedric, whatever. Anyway, so he's a sweeper, right? 3/2 for 3, because, you know, Plague, and yeah, nope. No, when he enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Each player who can't discards a card. Ooh. So you're probably thinking, wow, it improved Ravenous Chupacabra. It says all players, it hits you too. Plus, Ravenous is a guaranteed 2/2 for 4, and then you get to target it. So the fact that you can't steer this in any way, it's their choice. And then if this is the only thing that's in play, or it's the smallest thing in play on your side, or least important, you would have to sack this the second that it comes into play, because this would be your chosen target. I don't like that. I like to be in complete control when I'm playing control. So the circumstances to make this really good and really do a lot in the game are really bad, but then again, it's a human and it's a 3/2 for 3, so like, whatever. And on the flip side, ooh, it's a 3-cost sorcery speed force sack, and you just assume you're not going to get to keep them anytime you cast them or whatever. Either way, I don't like it. In most cases, you just drop them in, you lose something else that you probably needed, and they're going to sack like a 1/1. Pretty cool in multiplayer, though. That would piss some people off. I will say, though, in a Golgari deck, if you end up bringing him back from the graveyard over and over and over, that could get real annoying real quick, and you probably wouldn't care if you're sacking him. That's kind of the point. So next up, Wizards told me that the guy who guards the Bifrost Bridge here, he was some big thing. I skimmed headlines on their site. So let's see what he does. I didn't actually read it yet. So it's Tajik, Legion's Edge. 3/2 for 3. He's got some kind of lightsaber going on there. The bottom one looks green, the middle one looks blue, and the top one that's off screen looks kind of purple. So I'm going to assume that it's an adamantium wrapped gay pride lightsaber. But what else would you use to open the Bifrost Bridge? Okay, anyway, he has haste and mentor, and he's 3 power, so that's a good combo. And he costs 3, and then prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to other creatures you control. Holy crap. Now I know why they made an entire article about him that I didn't read. Also, you can pay 2, and he gains first strike until end of turn. Rainbow lightsaber first strike. Tajik Legion's Edge. Taste the rainbow. So this is like Scarab God if he wasn't broken garbage, okay? This is like the avatar of the mentor deck. Like, this is the absolute grand ruler of whatever guild this is, which he probably literally is the guild leader. I don't freaking know. But like, regardless, I'm saying he's their best fighter. Actually, he's a legendary creature. He probably is the guild leader. In fact, that name sounds familiar. Okay, I'm pretty sure of it, but way too lazy to check. So haste, so he's a threat right when he comes out. You got 2 more mana, he's got first strike, so he's a huge threat when he first comes out. He also has mentor, so something else is probably getting bigger. And then you cannot destroy anything outside of combat, which is not true. You could just do a negative like 2 sweeper or something. It's doable, but yeah, red ain't gonna do it. You would need like black spells to take out their creatures now. So, board wipes are usually either sweepers or just says destroy all. And if it just says destroy, it didn't use damage. So basically, it just gives them protection from red for all intents and purposes. Or actually, I should say hexproof against red. That's probably way more accurate. Just no red removal is gonna be able to target them, and that is pretty awesome. The one thing I'm wondering is if force fighting in like green, like if you say these 2 creatures fight each other or whatever, is that considered combat damage? Because it's outside of combat, but it's still creatures and it's kind of in combat, and lifelink still goes off. But then again, lifelink isn't tied to combat. So I don't know. I'm not sure. If anybody knows the ruling on that, I'd love to hear it. So yeah, I think anybody running Mentor is going to be running at least 3 of Gay Pride Blade the Vampire Slayer here. Oh, and that's it for the spoilers today. So some pretty tasty, spicy cards, some stuff I really am looking forward to building with, some exciting secondary strategies where it's like, oh, maybe I don't have to stick to it. Because honestly, I mean, I'll be perfectly blunt with you guys. It looked like the cookie cutter garbage that we got in Ixalan, but worse, where it's just like, hi, I'm Wizards of the Coast and I built your decks for you. Which one of our decks are you going to play? It was just like, here, pick a tribal and play it. But I mean, you could do 3-color dinosaur, 2-color dinosaur, other 2-color dinosaur. You could do this version of pirates, that version of pirates. You could do explore merfolk, or you could do blitz merfolk, or you could do control heavy merfolk. They mixed it up pretty darn well. But it still felt like, yeah, these decks were very manufactured. Like, if you're like, I want to play this strategy, there's like 12 cards to choose from, and you probably got to pick like 9 of them. I mean, it's like, oh, thanks for all that variety. It was very pre-constructed, very Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh! Hearthstone, and I don't like that. I like wide open, build whatever you want, creativity, let's let the format evolve over time, every GP is different, that kind of stuff, not just, I'm playing the Mentor deck, and then you sort out all the garbage Mentor cards, don't use them, look at all the good Mentor cards, and do use them. It looks like mono white Mentor life gain Angel Blitz with token dump is going to be a very good deck, like almost as good as Mentors. So it's like, oh, you got some options, you got some mono options, you got some 3-color options, you got some 2-color options. It's not just pick a guild, build the guild. But up until today, it was really looking like that. So like the first 20 spoilers, it looked like, oh, wide open triggers. And then it was very clear. It's like, no, you're going to be building one of these. And now we're back to, little creativity might be allowed. So I'm liking the way it's going. Unfortunately, Dimir control is going to be virtually unbeatable. That goes double if they add Golgari. Then we've got blue-white control, which is still going to be insane. And then the other crazy tier 1 deck is going to be Izzet control. So 3 control decks are going to be the tier 1 for sure. Unequivocally, nobody could possibly argue with that, except for a small amount of people in my comment section who clearly are just trolling or that stupid. Electromancer, guttersnipe, and the guttersnipe wall? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me at this point? Have you ever heard of a card called Opt? I mean, Spell Swindle is still legal, for God's sake. So yeah, if all 3 tier 1 decks are all control, you can just forget about building anything else. Because playing up against control, what you need is either the most resilient deck ever built, which just doesn't exist right now. I mean, the closest you'd get is having to kill or counter everything twice with Embalm and Eternalize, and we just lost that. So there's nothing else. So if you're like, I'm going to build this, no, you're probably not. Not if you want to win. So standard is going to be a real just control heavy dumpster fire for a while, and I'm not happy about that. So, you know, whatever, it is what it is. Hopefully they'll fix it with a ban, and pre-release looks like it'll be pretty cool too. So can't wait for that. Let me know what you're most excited about building, and if it's not one of the 3 control decks I just said, then immediately give up and maybe find a different game. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.